Virginia Tech. Justin Lewis was a top 100 recruit, and he was looking at Virginia Tech. He was also looking at UConn and Marquette. And he just committed to Marquette. It's verbal. I don't know if he's signed or not. But, So, not so good there for the Hokies fans. Also, all this college basketball talk. Like I said, the NCAA has suspended DePaul, there you go, men's basketball coach Dave Liato. Tell me, you were thinking Ray Meyer, weren't you? Well, if you're of the era, I guess, but, I mean, what is DePaul? It's Ray Meyer and then, a lot of bad stuff afterwards, right? Anyway, and bad stuff continued because Liato has been suspended for the first 3 games of the regular season, saying he should have done more to prevent recruiting violations by his staff. And, now they're going to take away victories from the Blue Demons. Really? I mean, that is the lamest thing. And plus, it's not even consistent. Took away those victories from Joe Paterno. Now suddenly he's got them back again. What in the world did Dave Liato and the Blue Demons do that was worse than looking the other way for child molestation? I mean, really. But still, 3 years of probation, $5,000 fine, and said an undetermined number of games will be vacated because they used an ineligible player. So, and it's like there's no national champion. What year was it? 2012 when Louisville won it. No, there's no really. There's no Heisman Trophy when Reggie Bush won it. Really, honestly, what did the Downtown Athletic Club, it was still under the Heisman was still under that, right? Their stormtroopers come in to Reggie Bush's house and take the trophy away from him. Is that horrifying experience why, after a while, Kim Kardashian rejected, Reggie Bush for instead, Kanye West? Is that what this is all about? Please. Taking away victory. It's just thought it was hollow and ridiculous thing and all that. A lot of people are going to think the Washington Redskins made a we can't believe it move. They released inside linebacker Mason Foster on the eve of training camp. It's a surprise move. Barats blasted the Redskins for having zero good faith and tweeted that Foster couldn't get a straight answer about why he was cut. Sounds so Redskins, doesn't it? And a team spokesman, they change him for after every so often with the Redskins, not immediately respond to a request about the reports made over Twitter that Foster has been released. He was a starting middle linebacker for the Redskins. He led the team with 131 tackles, was on the field for just about every down on defense. And, they don't even know who's going to replace him. Guy they might have said was Reuben Foster, but he tore his ACL, so they're down to third stringers. Play inside linebacker in the NFL, the Washington Redskins. You tell me. Nobody understands it. Not right now. Must have been something really, really bad. I said something like George Carlin when I said that. All this. Eric Dickerson thinks the NFL is really, really bad. And he's talking about boycotting the Hall of Fame festivities that are coming up. He has sent a letter to Commissioner Roger Goodell, as well as the NFLPA Executive Director DeMaurice Smith, and Hall of Fame President David Baker, demanding lifetime health insurance, an annual salary for Hall of Famers, and a share of league revenue. Annual salary for Hall of Famers... I mean, if you're a Hall of Famer, you figure you've already made a lot of money, that's kind of, I might be more for extending the pension plan for, the guys who played 1 year, broke their legs, now, have a bit of, they're going to have to walk with a cane. I might be more sympathetic to those guys, than somebody who, has been making big money, and that ought to set them up for life, to tell you the truth, even if it didn't for Adrian Peterson, but regardless. Until our demands are met, the letter explained, the Hall of Famers will not attend the annual induction ceremony in Canton. Now, the lifetime health insurance, you look at that and you start saying, yeah, why not? There has been a lot of talk about the NFL forgetting about the retired players. I know Terry Bradshaw once suggested that 1% of NFL revenue, just 1%, be put into a fund to help the retired players, and said, that would be more than enough. I'm not sure exactly how much Bradshaw looked into it, but, things like pensions and all that, when you look at the revenue that was taken in, and, Bradshaw's first contract he signed was for $25,000 a year, which was a nice salary in 1970, but he also said, you know what, I had to pay my taxes, and I actually had to get a sales job. He sold cars in the off season after his rookie year with the Steelers. I mean, so I know a couple of sportscasting friends of mine, Twin Chilkin and Craig Wolfley, said, we were middle round draft choices of the Steelers, 1980, and the steel mills they were at the very end, but they were still going on in Pittsburgh, and there were plenty of, fans in the stands that made more money than we did in 1980. And so these are not guys that, need to be buying the most expensive wax for their Maserati, mind you. These were guys that if they had sort of a cup of coffee NFL career and all this, like I said, $25,000 is a nice salary in 1970, but it's not going to last you. And so that's where this is coming. Anyway, this is interesting. Now then, here's the problem with these demands. Eric Dickerson has said the Hall of Famers should get $300,000 per year. Then he backed away from the claim, and then some people say, Eric Dickerson, you played in those replacement games in 1987. But the idea is now there may be a boycott of some of the NFL stars in Canton, Ohio, wanting for better retirement conditions. Okay, I can kind of say, but again, I'm not sure the Hall of Fame, and I do know there have been some Hall of Famers, especially, like I said, from previous generations where the money was not going to last them for the rest of their life. And then that also comes into, boy, if you do give a salary there, you will really be that senior committee. Do you ever vote for anyone posthumously? Do you, because, what's the reward ought to be a salary, right? Huh? How do you vote against people? Do you not try to, isn't there almost okay, let's see here, who's a great football player that's living on Skid Row so he can help him out here in the senior committee? You're almost looking at that. I don't know, maybe you could make the argument that is what the Hall of Fame should be about. Anyway, I need to have Vito or Rick Goslin or someone on talk a little bit about that. But the thing is, I don't know if that's that much of a threat. Eric Dickerson might not go to Canton this year. There are a lot of people that remember the beginning of this century who wish that he didn't go to the venue the Monday Night Football game was being played at, because he really did make Lisa Guerrero look good. Her reporting, which, to tell you the truth, I didn't think was all that bad. But certainly not compared to Dickerson. But anyway, just something to think about, though. I'm not sure the Hall of Fame or pro football is going to be pushed around. Terrell Owens didn't show up in Canton famously last year. He was being inducted. So, every year Hall of Famers pass away and they're not going to go to Canton. The fact that Eric Dickerson might not get his name read, the applause, have the jacket on, sit in a chair behind the people giving the speeches at the podium, probably isn't that big of a threat. Just saying. Here's a threat. Is it a threat? Not a threat. Here's a possibility. Derek Carr will not be a Las Vegas Raider. And it's not because he wants to save the old homestead. It's because, and I've always thought this, there's some talk that Carr might not be that good. The Raiders are in the bottom third of the league in total offense last year. So Oakland's been, trying to improve, acquiring Antonio Brown, Terrell Williams, for instance, They drafted Josh Jacobs, running back, in the first round. Got a big old tackle by the name of Trent Brown, who used to protect Tom Brady. So they've got the weapons, and now it's all on. This is the make or break year for Derek Carr. That's what is being said. And the idea is that the Raiders are now saying, this is your make or break year. You better get it done. It's kind of a study now. Remember that Derek Carr might be playing for his contract come 2020. Now there's some talk about, well, who are you going to replace him with? The same thing. Fire the coach, who are you going to replace him with? We get that. Thing is, I kept hearing one year the Raiders made the playoffs, said, oh, they'll be great. They'll be, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with in the NFL, all that sort of stuff. And I'm not sure that they were. They haven't been, let's put it that way. So Carr going to Las Vegas might not happen if he slumps again this year, especially with all the talent the Raiders have put on. That's what Mike Florio is saying, at least. I kind of agree with that. Like I said, there's some guys that I just don't quite understand how they got to the elite level or got that sort of praise. By the way, did you see this? Where I guess there was a field of study and people were talking about Aaron Rodgers. There was a poll released by NFL players and was it NFL players and scouts or coaches and scouts? Anyway, the idea was Aaron Rodgers is better than Tom Brady. You are really voting against experience there. That's all I got to say. You are really voting against experience. I thought you were supposed to vote for experience, but I guess you hit 40 in the NFL. What did Brady do in the playoffs last year in the Super Bowl? You can say, oh, put up 13 points in the Super Bowl. Give me that AFC title game. Give me that AFC title game and then tell me. Yeah. As I have been on these airwaves before and just, shouting from the rooftops, Brady is the GOAT! Brady is the GOAT! Brady is the GOAT! I would like to think that I am the GOAT, and I mean greatest of all time, in hosting sports talk in the Tri-Cities market. I'd like to think I helped make it, first as a caller, and now as a host, since Labor Day 2016, after an initial stint in the 90s at this station as well. Well, that's up for you to debate, but we're here every weekday, noon to 2, and we will return tomorrow as well. On Friday, Jerry Bonkowski of NBCSports.com, he'll join me to talk NASCAR as they go to Pocono this week. And also on Friday at 1:30, Josh Brown of Knockahoma Nation will join me to talk about the first place Atlanta Braves, even if their bullpen isn't compliant. Tri-Cities Sports Now.